bits set aside. There used to be a process called the envelope system that was always talked about in the Depression. In the Depression, we didn't have banks, so people would just sort of squirrel money away in the envelopes, and pretty soon those envelopes got pretty fat, and they started to grow, and they started to invest them that way. Your challenge is to find the money. Find the leak and redirect it into a pre-tax retirement plan. It is literally that simple. Once it goes into that pre-tax retirement plan, boost it up as much as you can to 10% of your income, and then just keep it allocated appropriately. Now, your allocation will change. Sometime in our life, we will go through a depression. We will go through a depression similar to what our grandparents talk about back in the 1929s, 1930s. That's coming. That's known as economic winter. You can survive economic winter if you take advantage of economic spring and economic summer and economic fall by saving money and protecting yourself. Once we get to the winter, there will be a lot of things that will spook people and scare them to death. Economic winter is probably 2 to 3, maybe 4 years away. If that in itself does not awaken you into finding the leak in the bucket, you will either find the leak in the bucket now while you have the time, or you will definitely find your leaks in the bucket when economic winter comes. Okay? Any questions for me? Really, is that simple? Does that sound like a budget you can do? You track where the money goes for 3 days, you find out where the leak in the bucket is, you redirect it, you stop doing that, of course, if you don't need that money that you're wasting, redirect that. If it means peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, if it means bringing your food, if it means not buying, the $2 pop out of the machine and maybe finding something else, that's what you have to do. You save it, it is, deferred compensation to yourself. You're really denying yourself something that you really don't need for something you really do, which is your retirement. Okay, any questions for me?
You mentioned food
right.
as a leak in the bucket. Is that the widest, or is that the most common leak?
That's what most people will find. They call it fast food. They should call it expensive food. You can really eat cheaper. If you eat out a lot, you will notice how quickly you sort of rationalize away a bigger burger, a bigger fry, a bigger slurp, a bigger drink, and pretty soon instead of a $3 bill, you've got maybe a $6 or a $7 bill. Well, that money is just plain wasted. And so in answer to your question, yes, it's usually food. It's probably candy, fast food, food that we don't need anyway. But occasionally it's trinkets and toys like lottery tickets. Occasionally it's cigarettes. If you're a cigarette smoker, I don't bust anybody's chops. If you smoke, you smoke. It's your right to do it. But it sure is expensive anymore. Have you seen what a carton of cigarettes cost? And if you go through a carton of cigarettes in a week, there's your retirement right there. Pat Sullivan and I on WIBC did some math on that once. And if you just stopped smoking, it came up to like $300,000 in a very short period of time that you would save over your lifetime. So, any other questions? Yes?
If we put money on the retirement, like if something happened, like lost job, I have something, I have to have some money I can use.
Right.
What's
How do you get it? There are contingency. What she has asked is if I put money into my retirement account and then I lose my job and I have to get my money out, the rule has always been that if you take it out before 59 and a half, you have to pay the 10% penalty. There's an exception to that, and that is if you lose employment. And if you lose employment, then that is a nice place for you to pull money out. If you leave the state of Indiana, or if you leave your employer and you take your money from your 401k or your PERF, you'd put it into what's known as a rollover IRA. And there are certain things you can pull that out for. First-time home buying, educating your children, unexpected emergencies for health, or the loss of a job. And all of those, and you can check with your CPA or the IRS, but you can pull that out and get the money out. Now, when you do pull the money out, it will be taxable because remember, you never paid the tax on it. That's cool. We can handle that, but it is accessible to you in an emergency. Okay? Yes, sir?
How many months of living expenses do you recommend that people keep? 3 months, 6 months, 1 year?
Okay. Disposable income accessible to you in an emergency, I normally give it the 3 to 5 day rule. In other words, you have to be able to get to it in 3 to 5 days. A retirement program is not one of those. That should not be emergency money. Emergency money is if all of a sudden you had to get to cash for whatever, if you had to leave town or whatever. I would think 3 times your normal salary in a bank account or in a CD or in cash someplace that you can get to is plenty. Some people can get by with a month and a half, 6 weeks. Other people, depending on what their lifestyle is, will need as much as 6 months. And we call that the emergency fund. And most financial planners will say 3 to 6 months. I tend to lean towards the 3 months because everything is so accessible now to us through the transfer of data electronically, or the transfer of money electronically. Any other questions? Well, have I helped you? Okay. Also on that website on WIBC, there is a place for you to email me your questions. And if you have questions and you don't want to ask them here, that's cool. I want to help you. I don't know, I feel that part of the mission of WIBC is to truly help people to realize how to improve your life. You will improve your life if you save money. You know, that's like saying if I go on a diet, I'm going to improve my health. I am telling you, with all the evidence that I see, saving money will improve your life. It will improve your confidence. It will certainly improve your wallet. You'll be able to do things in life that you never thought possible. And dreams do come true. It's just a matter of it's got to start right here. And you've got to say, look, this stuff that I'm buying is not important. What's important is I want to be independent. What's important is I want to have wealth. And I don't want to be dependent on my kids when I get old. And I sure as heck don't want to be dependent on Uncle Sam or the state of Indiana. Okay? Thank you very much for coming.
Now that you've completed the Protect Your Pockets program, use the skills you've learned to not only guard yourself and the ones you love against investment fraud and scams, but also to start managing your money wisely. Remember to visit IndianaInvestmentWatch.com for more useful information.